Welcome back everyone to EU4 with the Great Culture Wars. Now, due to the release of the Mandate of Heaven, this series had to take a little bit of a back seat, but I have now reverted to the old version of the game, and this series will receive much more frequent updates. Now, since it's been such a long time since the last episode, and since we're on episode 15 anyways, I think we should start off by just having a look at the current situation of the world. And I would start off with the great powers, because that obviously always gives a nice first look at how things are going. So obviously the Leonese are number one. They're sort of my pick now, I guess, because they're just doing well, for one, and secondly, they look very pleasing. I mean, they have almost all of Iberia under their control. They have, you know, they've been doing very well since the beginning of the game. They have been beaten back for a little bit, but they've reconquered everything that they have lost so far. So I really like them, and I really want them to truly unite Iberia. It's just something that I personally would like to see. We'll see if that happens. We've got the Normans on number 2, which is probably mostly due to their huge subject here in Norman Canada. We've got the Occitans here, number 3. I really don't know where that is coming from. I think I've already said that. I mean, they do have a personal union over Tuscany with the Ober-Tengi family, but yeah, I really don't understand this development at all. I mean, I guess it's because of their colonies. Yeah, it must be. Other than that, we have gotten Syria, Tunis, Turkey, and Crimea. 4 Sunni nations as part of the great powers here. That's really impressive. I mean, those are the big 4. I mean, we still got Morocco under there as well, and we've got Andalusia, and we also got the Shia Egyptians, but those are the 4 big ones, and they certainly made a name for themselves. And then to top it off, or to well, end it off here, we've got the Ryazanians on number 8. But I must say, these last few spots, they change frequently. So the only great powers that we've really seen for a long time were the Leonese, the Normans, and I think the Syrians. They were the ones that were really in this great power list for a long time. But yeah, so this is that. I already had a look at the dynastic situation. Obviously, not to forget the one we have here in France, with 3 countries having the same dynasty. Very important. We've obviously got several personal unions, the Dutch under the Danish, we've got the English under Scotland, we've got the same dynasty in Ireland and in the Leonese. We've got the Syrians and Turkish sharing a dynasty, which is really cool, and all kinds of other things going on, like Silesia and Hungary now have the same one, and some more things like that. I don't want to point out everything because that would take too long, but you can maybe check that out for yourself. So that's really cool, and that obviously offers a lot of possibilities to gain a lot of land really quickly and grow in power. Other than that, I guess we can quickly check out the development as well. Now, I think the most developed province seems to be Breslau, I'm sorry, here in Silesia, but also Muscovy. No, Muscovy is actually the best one here in Europe with 47 development. So that's really, really nice. I like that quite a bit. Other than that, I guess the cultures are very important for the Great Culture Wars, but I don't really like to check out this map mode too much because there's not too much change going on. We basically have whatever the nations colonize, that stays here until the end of the game. Even though I gave them the culture conversion reduction in their national ideas, only very few nations actually change culture. So that's a little bit sad. We're not going to really see a huge change here, but we'll see. Maybe at some point, maybe someone you know, gets an intolerant ruler and decides to purge the world of these false cultures. Obviously, this is meant in the game sense, of course. Anyway, so obviously I also have the trade. I don't think that's particularly important. Let's actually check out the institution. I think that might be a bit more interesting because we've got the global trade spawn. We have the Renaissance here in Sicily. We've got the global trade. The Leonese got the global trade, I see. So that's giving them a huge bonus. We've got the colonialism there and the printing press here in Burgundy. So the printing press is everywhere, it seems, and global trade is now already spread to a lot of the capitals as well. So yeah, this is going relatively quickly, so no one's going to have too much of an issue with that institution. Alright, and last but not least, maybe we'll check out the religious as well. The Protestants have done very, very poorly. I really don't know what's going on there, but that was just terrible. The Reform doing a little bit better. They've got a few nations converted, but just in the grand scheme of things, it's not, you know, the Reformation was a failure, just to be honest here. So yeah, I think that's that quick overview here. We'll quickly check out the ledger as well, just the kind of army size. The biggest army obviously under control of the Leonese, and then I'm surprised that the Moroccans got the second biggest army, because they're not one of the 8 great powers. I mean, they might be number 9, but I would even doubt that. Muscovy coming afterwards as well, but wow, that is very impressive. I must say that, well, in terms of manpower, you're falling a bit behind, but Morocco is really up there. They're a strong military power, and wow, Norman Canada is doing very well for themselves. Wow. They might even get their independence from the Normans. They gotta watch themselves, that's for sure. I guess we'll also quickly check out the navies here. The biggest navy under Norman control, yes, with 28 heavy ships, and Norman Canada right afterwards. So yeah, the Normans are definitely very powerful. The second greatest power, the Leonese, just trailing behind a little bit here, but they have a way less heavy ships, so they could really get destroyed if there was to be a war between these two countries. Now, I guess I will also, that's probably what I should have started out with, is just the country overview itself. I guess we'll just check out the income for now. Leonie is obviously making tons of money from trade and tariffs. I mean, 62 money from trade. That's really good. The English also in a very great position. They're making a lot of money from tariffs too, but obviously it's a lot less. Actually, no, they're making way more money from tariffs, but a lot less from the trade. Then the Normans, English Brazil, obviously also one of the really big colonial nations, now somewhat under Scottish control. So that's very nice. Other than that, yeah, I guess that's fine. Let's check out the development here. I mean, we kind of see that with the great powers already, but it's just good to see that English Brazil is the second strongest just nation in the world if we just go by development. So yeah, that's something we need to keep in mind. These colonial nations, if they break free, that's a huge loss for their previous overlords, because they will lose a lot of points to their name, which is sad. But yeah, I think that's fine. I kind of want to get into the game now, and I don't really want to spend that much more time here. I know this was not particularly thorough, but yeah, it's okay. Actually, before we go ahead, I should probably check out the current wars. Now, this would certainly be something we definitely need to know. So we've got 2 wars we left off with in the last episode. We've got the Neapolitan conquest of Roma, which is basically Neapolitans beating down on the Umbrians, Piedmontese, and Maltese. Now, the Maltese have one province, the Umbrians have this, which is occupied, and the Piedmontese are holding it together for now, but I don't think that's gonna last very long. Yeah, so they're surrounded, and they're gonna get destroyed as well. I hope that the Piedmontese won't lose anything, because they really don't deserve that, but I guess we'll see. Other than that, we have the Galician-Louisianan Independence War, together with New Galicia and the Catalans fighting the Moroccans. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to it. We've got the second Muscovite purge of Polish heresy. The Greeks and Ruthenians are joining the Muscovites against the Polish and Latvians, so this war is pretty one-sided. I mean, yeah, Ruthenia and the Greeks are not strong, but I think Muscovy on its own can take on these two nations. Pretty sure about that. And last but not least, we've got the Syrian conquest of Baghdad. So Syria, the Turks and the Crimeans once again fighting against the Bulgarians and Albanians, who kind of try and hold out here in this region. In fact, why? Oh, those are the Romanians, yeah. So you guys are kind of surrounded by Sunni Muslims, and you're just trying to hold on. They've been the target of several jihads and just regular declarations of war. So, I mean, I gotta give it to them. They're fighting well. They're fighting for every inch of their soil, but you know, it's just an overwhelming might that hits them. So they're obviously not going to be able to do too much. Now, it's a little bit sad because one of the dynasties, the Bulgarian ruling family, is the same as the one we have in the Romanian country. So if they were to get a personal union, they might stop the Turkish-Syrian aggression. The thing is, the Romanians are actually allied to the Turkish and were previously even at war with their own dynasty. So they're really kind of got this whole thing wrong. I mean, I know it's not a religious war, so I guess religion shouldn't play a big role in this series necessarily, but they're obviously always important. So I kind of surprised as to why the Romanians decided to ally the Turkish instead of oppose them. But yeah, so we've seen a piece here with Umbria. The Piedmontese, I don't think they had to give up anything, so that's good to see there. Umbria has been reduced to a one-province minor, lost Abruzzi and Roma both to the Neapolitans. So now all they got to do is... Actually, no, that's not true. I think they... I always keep clicking on the wrong thing. Oh, that's kind of annoying. But they actually had to give up Urbino to these guys. So yeah, they lost several provinces, but they lost 3 provinces in this. Abruzzi and Roma did go to the Neapolitans and Urbino to the Romanians. Interesting. And Romanians apparently also finished off Milan, which was the former Lombard capital. I'm not sure in which war that happened. It could have been in this war, they were involved here as well. But that means another culture has been wiped out. And to be quite honest, this makes this whole region look a lot nicer, because they were kind of preventing anyone to really take over these wastelands and color them in their own color. So it's good to see the Lombards gone. I'm sorry to say it like that, but I stick to it. I stick to it. So yeah, we've got now 3 factions kind of vying over control in the Alps. Obviously, the Piedmontese controlling a huge chunk. The Swiss clinging on to some of their starting provinces, and then the Romanians now growing much more powerful, especially in a war against the Swiss. They, I think, took over a few provinces here, so that's looking really good for them. I mean, I really don't mind who's going to take over the Swiss, but Franconia would be a good candidate, in my opinion. Alright, so we've got Poland completely besieged, and Muscovy just taking a huge bite out of it. No remorse at all. They just went for it, and wow, they grabbed a lot of stuff. Let me quickly check this out. I think their last... damn, that's annoying. But their last province was kind of Minsk, and now they just took 1, 2, 3, another 6 provinces of Poland. That really hurts them quite a bit. And, you know, Muscovy is looking good. They look strong and healthy. I mean, they haven't really dealt with the Ryazanians, so they kind of got blocked off from colonization, but that was long ago. They're not going to be able to get back to a colonial position for a long time. So, you know, they really have to rely on conquest from now on. But yeah, let's check out some of the other wars. We've still got Syrian conquest of Baghdad going on, obviously heavily in the Muslim favor, so there's not really a surprise there. And what's that other war that we've seen? Silesian conquest of Stop. So we've got Silesia and the Hungarians together with the Estonians and Czech against the Norwegians, Normans, and the Swedish. Now this is interesting because the Normans are obviously a very strong power. And you know what? I gotta change this. I gotta change this to diplomatic, because that is being very annoying. And let's... Alright, hold on. Let's get this, let's get rid of the institutions, and let's get that over here. Because I keep clicking on it. I'm used to having my diplomatic view there, and that kind of actually bothers me quite a bit. Alright, so, now that we've finally done that, let's check out this war. So the Normans are defending, I suppose they're defending the Norwegians in this? Yes. So we've got a really big alliance block here, Silesians, Hungarians, and then whatever is remaining of the Czechs, and the Estonians kind of in there as well. So this is really a Norman thing. The Normans have to drive this home, otherwise this is not going to go particularly well. They already have Hungarians in their provinces, and the Czechs as well. But they have a big army. If they defeat the Czechs first, I think they can do very well. They've got 33,000 men. Nope, they're going for Champagne first. Not entirely sure. Well, they're actually doing well. I think they... No, they did not. Okay, so was the Czech coming in as well? It's a little bit hard to see because they all get the same kind of color. So that's a little bit not surprising, but a little bit confusing. But yeah, so the Normans are being beaten back, which, you know, is not really a big surprise, except for the fact... Well, they're winning now. But, you know, it's not a big surprise. The thing is, Normans are not going to lose anything out of this. I think it's just going to be these provinces are going to get taken over by either the Estonians, who do control this island here. They might take these 2 provinces, but this is definitely going to change hands. And the Silesians will finally get a port for themselves. So, you know, that's nice. One thing that has often been requested, I think I've actually fulfilled that request several times, but we'll still do it, is have a look at Egypt and kind of the Indian colonization, how that is going. So yeah, the Egyptians have kind of expanded into the Hormuz and Oman area, which they kind of set up as their capital, but now they're also going further into the Gujarat area, and it's looking good for them. It's really looking good for them. But the Syrians did not sleep either, and they have decided to grab a lot of these coastal centers of trade, and they're even here in the Spice Islands now. No one has reached Australia just yet, but China has been colonized by the Syrians. So yeah, I mean the Sami, the Ryazanians, Crimeans, they're all going over there, trying to get a piece of the cake. But obviously the long land route is taking longer than to hop from port to port. So the Syrians will get the first pick of the spicy and juicy coastal provinces here. You know, which is fine. This is only going to strengthen their position as one of the strongest great powers in the game. Now, also, I guess we should have a quick look at Africa. We've got some exiled Iberians here. We've got the Portuguese, the Andalusians, and the Aragonese, all kind of just chilling out here, trying to build an empire for themselves. And I would say the Portuguese are probably doing the best out of them all. The Aragonese have a little bit of a problem because they're so close to the Moroccans, who, as we have seen, have a very strong military. So, you know, they have problems with that. But the Portuguese are really looking good. They're, in fact, at war with the Andalusians. Now, we'll check that out. We've also got the Cape colonized by the Galicians, but the Scots and English, who are obviously ruled by the same monarch, are interested in this area as well. The Tuscans also try to establish themselves here now, but that might be a futile effort. Obviously, they're also in a personal union, so it doesn't really matter. As for America, we've got the English Brazil obviously dominating South America, but the Occitan Colombia is grown in power as well, so we shouldn't forget about them. Occitan Mexico is one of the strongest powers here in North America. We've got basically the Occitan Mexico, we've got the Catalans, and we've got Norman Canada. And I've just seen that we've got a few independent nations. So New Sardinia is still here, but we've got the United States. And the United States are Galician and Catholic, and they're apparently at war with the Catalans. Alright, that's cool to see. The United States formed out of Florida. Well, what do you know? And Louisiana is also Galician, so this was probably New Galicia and Galician Louisiana. They have just won their independence from the Galicians, so this is what they look now. This is what they look like now. Now, still, it does give bonuses to their culture. The Galician culture has been spread, and as I said, these colonial nations, even if they're independent, I think that was the house rule I said, even if they're independent, they're gonna give a quarter of their culture to their starting nation. At least I think that's how I said it would be, right? So if they would stay a subject, they would count as half, or they would add half of their development to their overlord. But if they are broken, at least a fourth of their development will count towards that culture, because still, even though the Galicians lost control over that nation, or over these two nations, they still managed to spread their culture, and this is what's really important about this. So I think that was the rule I set there. We've also got some other important or interesting ones. We've got the Irish here in Mexico. That's something you don't see often. And the New Dutch and New Sardinians, as I have mentioned. Okay, so I think with that, I'll quickly check out the current wars. The Catalans against the United States, yeah, probably gonna wipe them out even, since this is one of the starting nations. They're just a bit more set up, and the US have just recently come actually just recently gained the independence. So there's that. The Finnish want to take some lands from the Norwegians, and yeah, they have brought all their buddies, so it's going to be pretty easy for them. The Portuguese crusade, together with the Aragonese, fighting the Andalusians, but also the Tunisians and Moroccans. So this was ill-advised. Yeah, and then we've still got the Silesian conquest of Stolp, which is just being hampered by the Normans, but they will have to give in eventually. Alright, now one thing that I've just seen is that the Prussians have finally grown stronger. They've taken 2 provinces from the Polish, so that's very nice. The Polish only have 1 province left, but the Prussians have finally grown. This has been a long time since they have declared a war. So it's good to see them grow stronger. But on that note, I think I will end this episode here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you next time with some more Culture Wars.